Aw, yeah, it's Kirby! You know, the round pink dude with the appetite of a vacuum cleaner? Now, these days, it's easy to just nonchalantly include Kirby in the pantheon of cute Nintendo characters. I mean, sure, he's great at annoying people in Smash Bros., and Nintendo likes to throw him around when experimenting with new types of gameplay, but there's not really that much more to him, right? Well, if we really want to figure out what's so special about Kirby, we need to go back and examine his first console appearance and the game that first defined the series, Kirby's Adventure. Now, gaming back during the NES days was quite a different beast than it is today. Very few games chose to take advantage of the battery-powered memory that the NES was capable of, and thus were still stuck in the arcade mentality of game design. Without saving, games had to remain short enough so that they could be completed end-to-end in a single sitting. But if they were so compact, how was a game to maintain a player's attention and make them feel that they had truly gotten their money's worth? Well, the primary tactic used by developers was by making their games have a high level of difficulty. Games such as Contra, Castlevania, and the Japanese version of Super Mario Bros. 2 are well known to test even the most skilled gamers' abilities. The main focus of their design was memorization and having the players make repeated efforts to overcome the obstacles in their path. The original Castlevania had only 6 levels, but when was the last time you heard of someone just breezing through that? The game is filled with cleverly placed enemies, patterns to recognize, and some of the most difficult jumps in platforming history. Just getting from one side of a room to the other is a challenge in itself. So, where does Kirby's Adventure come into all of this? Well, at first glance, nothing seems that special about the game. Heck, the Super Nintendo had even launched, and this was still on the regular NES. It was just a colorful world, catchy music, just another platformer, right? Yeah, so Kirby's Adventure happens to include the ability to fly. Not hovering, not double jumping, actual unlimited flight in a platformer. And to make the ability even more overpowered, coming at a flight mode automatically kills any enemy in front of you, clearing the way for you to immediately resume your ascent. You would think that because of this huge shakeup to the inherent rules of the platforming genre, that the entire game would be ruined, but somehow, Nintendo makes it work. Instead of focusing the game on memory and skill, Nintendo made Kirby's Adventure about, well, the adventure. When it comes down to it, the game isn't all that difficult. The ability to simply inflate yourself and float over most obstacles, combined with being able to suck up most enemies in one try, means that there's usually not too much stress placed upon the player. The challenges, when they do appear, are few and far between, paced just right to keep the player on their toes. To complement this more laid-back design, the game is fresh, colorful, and playful. The worlds are all cheekily named after food, and alongside the regular levels, are filled to the brim with assorted minigames and museum rooms, which ensure you can eventually unlock access to your favorite copy abilities whenever you want. Speaking of which, the copying mechanic syncs rather well with the whimsical, carefree nature of the game that the endless flight reinforces. Having enemies able to be defeated so easily just by sucking them up makes the copy abilities less about upgrading Kirby and more about changing up your playstyle just enough to keep things interesting. The fun comes not from just overcoming your foes, it comes from taking them out in the funnest way you can. Furthermore, being able to save your progress and continually work towards the goal of traversing Dreamland over a longer period meant you could take your time with the game, experiment with the different abilities, master the timing of the minigame at the end of each stage. Suck the hats off these guys, they don't care! People may try and dismiss Kirby's Adventure for being released 2 years after the SNES on an outdated console, but that's not the market Nintendo was going for with this title. A game such as this is a perfect gateway into the hobby. It's not strenuous, it doesn't require great skill, but it still manages to be loads of fun. A more casual player may not have enough of an interest in gaming to buy a brand new SNES, but a second-hand NES was a less risky buy, and with a game like Kirby's Adventure doing its best to lure in players of all sorts, perhaps Nintendo converted some into hardcore fans after all. You know, I can remember playing Kirby's Adventure at my grandparents' house. I can remember the excitement of getting one of the rarer copy abilities, the lame jokes made at the expense of Wispy Woods, and the rush of beating a platformer on my own for the very first time. These moments, these fond memories, those are the things that really matter. In a time such as this, with the industry in the middle of such an upheaval and new consoles on the horizon, some looking grand and some, well, not so grand, it's important to remember the emotions that games can invoke. The reason that we care enough about a hobby to write about, to rant about, to make blue-tinted YouTube videos about it. Everyone kickstarts their gaming career somewhere, and with Kirby's Adventure, Nintendo made a near-perfect entry point. It might not be the greatest, it might not be the most well-known, but this game knew how to draw in new players. And that, my friends, is really freaking clever.